Hey listeners, welcome to Making the Impact. I'm your host, Courtney Ortiz, and today we are throwing it back to one of our most entertaining and honestly, most useful episodes. Season 4, episode 120, Stage and Costume Malfunctions. You know the moment. You're mid-routine, the lights are hot, the judges are watching, and then a shoe flies off, a strap snaps, or a hat hits the floor and stays there. In this episode, we're talking about exactly what to do in those panic moments on stage in real time, so dancers can stay safe, stay professional, and stay in the game. Our IDA judges and professional dancers, Halle, Mastroberardino, and Donna, Vaughn, share some hilarious horror stories, plus smart strategies judges love to see, like how to decide whether to keep going or get off the stage, when to grab the prop and when to ditch it, and why making a smart choice in the moment as a dancer says so much to us behind the table. You can even use these helpful tips and recommendations from your judges as we head into the 2025 competition season. So let's jump into our throwback episode from Season 4, Stage and Costume Malfunctions. Enjoy the chat.
Hi y'all, welcome to this week's episode of Making the Impact. I'm your host, Courtney Ortiz, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Lesley Mealor.
Hello, Courtney. What's up?
Not too much. We're back. It's time to pod again. I'm so happy to be here this week, and I cannot explain to you how excited I am for this episode. I have been dying for this episode, since we started podcasting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the topic comes up occasionally with maybe the presentation episode, some of the how to be a professional dancer topics. You're always there's always something that's going to show up in this realm of malfunctions in a lot of conversations. But to have a full episode devoted to the mishaps that we have all been through and that we can, hopefully prepare for to prevent is going to be really fun and funny, I hope.
It is. I think it's going to be a lot of fun hearing from our own experiences, also from the judging side of things that we've seen happen on stage. That I think that's why I'm so excited about this, because I've just seen so many things happen that I'm like, this could have been prevented, or right. How do we resolve this in the moment? And we wanted to put this earlier in the season before the actual competition season is in full swing, so you can pass this around to all of the dancers, the studios, the teachers out there, and have these tips and tricks in the back of your brain when that happens, if that happens to you on stage. Hopefully it doesn't. We don't want any costume malfunctions or prop malfunctions on stage. That's the goal. We're trying to prevent them.
Right. And some things are not preventable. Some things just happen, and that's real.
Show must go on.
Yeah, the show must go on. I mean, until somebody's really, we can get into it. Reasons why the show should not go on. But yeah, I'm super excited to have our guests here today. We've got some really awesome new guests to the podcast. Yes. And listeners, if you haven't heard yet, if you're new to our podcast, I want to tell you all about our Platinum Premium podcast subscription. We would love you to join now so you can receive exclusive content and monthly bonus episodes for members only. Our Platinum Premium subscription is for the diehard Making the Impact fan who wants to help support our podcast for years to come. Membership perks include access to our Q&A live episodes, which we'll be releasing monthly to Platinum Premium members only, priority to have your questions answered on our Q&As, ad-free listening for all Season 4 episodes, free stickers mailed to you and your dancer, a discount on Making the Impact merchandise, and a discounted online critique from the one and only Courtney Ortiz. All of our subscribers will have the option to receive a shout out on a future podcast episode. And with that, we'd love to say thank you to some of our recent members. Hello to Samantha Creasel, a dance parent from Studio G Performing Arts Academy in Ocala, Florida. They say, I've been listening since the beginning and can't begin to tell you how much you've helped me be a better dance mom.
Aww.
Heart emoji. You are so welcome. We are grateful that you have supported us since the very beginning. Thank you, Samantha. And hello, Michaela, a dance parent from Studio 86 in Kinston, North Carolina. They said, we absolutely love the show. We've learned so much and just can't wait to learn more.
Yay.
Yay, Michaela. We're gonna be here for a while, so there's more to learn, and thanks for your support. If you would like to join our Platinum Premium membership, head over to our website to join for only $5 a month. That is a deal, Courtney.
Oh, yeah.
$5 a month.
For so much content and exclusive information from us.
Yes. Or you could pay a one-time fee for yearly access up front. Visit our website or click the link in our show notes to sign up now at impactdanceadjudicators.com/platinum premium.
All right, everyone, it's time to jump into this episode. And like I said, I'm super pumped about this one. Can't wait to introduce you to two brand new podcast guests and also two IDA judges who are joining us today. First up, I'm excited to welcome a new judge to our roster who joined us last season and had the opportunity to work for us a little bit last year, and excited to have them back this year. Please welcome Halle Mastroberardino to the podcast. Welcome, Halle.
Thanks so much. So excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here as well. And I'm super happy, like I said, to have you on the roster. I'm excited to get you out some more this season as an IDA judge.
Yeah, it was great to kind of, dip my toe in a little bit with the company last year. I'm excited to keep it going, see what this year holds.
Yes, totally. So, Halle, if you wouldn't mind telling the dance world out there a little bit more about you, where you grew up, where you're residing now, a little bit about your dance training, any career credits, and what you're working on.
Yeah, so I grew up in Westchester, New York. I was a competition kid from the ages of 4 to 12. I was so back, we would always say that they should make a dance TV show about us because we were at the studio for 6 days a week, and then Dance Moms happened, and I was like, that's what I did.
Yep.
So my studio, I went to Westchester Dance Academy when I was younger, and the technique that I got there was just immeasurable.
Love them, yeah.
Really owe them a whole lot for just the foundation that I got of dance. And my parents have always been really into Broadway and musical theater, and living so close to the city, that would be like my birthday present, my Christmas present. We'd get tickets and go see Broadway shows. So that was always something I loved to do. And when I was 12, I kind of made a decision, I can't spend 6 days a week at the studio and do musicals. So I'm going to cut back on the competition side of things and start to, study voice and acting and get myself into, the other disciplines of musical theater. And that allowed me to really, work on my skills as a middle schooler, high schooler. And I would do the musicals at my high school. And I auditioned for BFA programs. I ended up going to Point Park University, where I studied musical theater, and then I was a dance minor there. So again, getting that triple threat training was always really important to me. And the dance program at Point Park is just mind blowing. So it was amazing to kind of be thrown into classes with people who now are dancing with Alvin Ailey and these incredible dance companies, and really kind of created my community from school. And I also was lucky enough to work at Music Theater Wichita a couple summers when I was in college. And they are in Wichita, Kansas. They bring in Broadway professionals to play the leads, and then the college kids are kind of in the ensemble and get featured parts. And that was just crazy connections. The connections I was able to make there really helped me once I moved back home to New York in Westchester. I was always really close to the train and would go in and audition, and I was in the ensemble of Elf with Mara Newberry-Greer, who was a choreographer that I worked with in Wichita, and ended up coming back. That was right out of school also. And yeah, just kind of I've always find that my dance competition world connections and then the theater connections, there's always so much crossover. And I've really just been able to kind of, reconnect with people that I met when I was little baby Halle, doing conventions and competitions, and now being able to work professionally with some of those people and be in the same studios as them. Just been able to continue my training. And I've performed in high school. I did the National High School Musical Theater Awards. So we performed at the Minskoff stage. So I know we'll kind of have a little Lion King sort of crossover event here. But so I've had some really amazing experiences to dip my toe into the Broadway community. And that's really the dream, and still is the dream, still taking class and auditioning. And yeah, just since the pandemic, I haven't performed since February of 2020 was the last opportunity I had to be on stage. So just looking forward to the next time I can get up there. And then the judging is a way that it's kind of full circle for me to kind of give back to the next generation. I do teach dance now and choreograph for competition teams as well. So I definitely there's lots of completing the circles in my career and in the passion that I have to kind of give back all of the things that I've been able to learn to the next generation.
Absolutely. Cool. I love hearing that. That's so great. And I know you'll be back on stage soon. Don't you worry. It's just a tough time right now, and jobs are kind of limited and not a lot of auditionings, especially over here in New York, but you will be back on that stage soon. And also, you have a podcast yourself. I've just learned. Give a plug. Yeah. What is it? Tell the listeners out there.
Yeah, so this was like my pandemic passion project was my podcast. It's called Let's Take It From the Top. I say it's for theater lovers everywhere. I say I made it for like little high school Halle who would sit and watch YouTube videos of like backstage, behind the scenes Broadway shows. And I realized I knew so many people who were going to make their Broadway debut and who were in shows and, just got, again, connected to people that I was like, I want to hear about when they had their most favorite experience of being in a show. And so we'd sit down and we just kind of chat about an experience that they loved. And some people talk about their high school shows. Some people talk about their Broadway debuts. So we got a lot of like different perspectives on there of just what it's like to be a creative artist in New York and in the professional world. So yeah, all those episodes are available on Spotify and wherever you listen to your podcasts. So
cool.
Yeah.
We will link that in the show notes.
Yeah, we definitely will. Check it out, listeners. Another podcast for you to binge because we know y'all binge our podcast to all of our listeners worldwide. So thanks so much, Halle, for joining us on this one.
Thank you.
All right. And our next special guest is a new guest to the podcast. And she is someone that I have known my literally entire life. I have looked up to her my entire life. She was one of the older girls at my dance studio in Maryland and unbelievable dancer and talent and current working Broadway professional. I'm excited to welcome Miss Donna Michelle Vaughn to the podcast. Welcome, Donna.
Thanks, Court. Oh my God, the intro. Yes, we have been in each other's lives since we were, if I was 3, you had to be, what, 5? Like
other way around.
Other way. I'm like, I was not born yet.
You can definitely tell I haven't had coffee before I got on this podcast. Yeah, so other way around. And it's been super cool to stay connected. We've been all over the world. And so to have like Facebook and now the podcast and now the judging IDA, it's really cool to stay connected and share the crazy memories, but also like amazing memories that we have at our dance studio. But yeah, so growing up, again, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. Started dancing at the age of 3. I did all the competitions, the convention world. Super grateful for that in regards to learning performance quality, not being afraid to fall on stage, all those things, getting confidence to perform in front of a lot of people. I think I did competitions and conventions up until I was going to college. Yeah, went to VCU, studied there, graduated from there, and went to one of my dream dance companies to work with was Hubbard Street. And so I got into the second company of Hubbard Street, left Hubbard Street, went to Dance Work Chicago, which is also in Chicago, obviously. And with both companies, traveling internationally and nationally. So that was really cool to go out of the country. My first Broadway show that I saw with Annie actually as a kid in Baltimore and at like the Meyerhoff or something. And I was like, I want to do that. But I had never in my life taken a singing lesson before. So I had to be at least 25 when I took my first singing lesson, maybe 24, 25. Got hooked up with this older pianist. She had to be like 87 years old.
Oh my God.
I sang all that. She taught me how to sing all that jazz. I'm pretty sure that's like everyone's like audition song.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, the first one. Came to New York and auditioned for the show. I was actually flying from Chicago to New York a lot. I think the first show I auditioned for was like Wicked, but I auditioned for Lion King and they called me like 6 months later. So by this time you're like, you do the audition, you don't hear from them, you just whatever. And they asked me if I wanted to go to Vegas. I was like, can I live in Vegas? What do you do? What do people do in Vegas? Anyway, went to Vegas. Lived the best life. I was out there for 2.5 years and then they asked me to come to Broadway and I've been here for 11 years now. Yeah. So it's been a whirlwind, like a really cool journey. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, how am I still living this life? But here I am. I just started during the pandemic. I started just like a pop-up convention. It's like 1, 2, or 3 days where you get to work with industry professionals from all over the world, especially like Broadway people, because I have so many friends. And so, yeah, you can just study. I have like musical theater specific ones. I have ones where you want to work with dance companies. So I have friends in Ailey, Alonzo King's Lions Ballet. I mean, so many different dance companies. So yeah, it's been running for 3 years now, or I don't know. I've been able to have in-person pop-ups. Of course, they all started virtually, but yeah, that's what I'm currently doing and doing Lion King. And judging. So I'm kind of like all over the place.
Yeah, girl. Yes, you are. And you're killing it. And I've loved watching your journey and your career. And Lion King is just the show for you. And I'm still upset because I finally saw Lion King. So hopefully, like, everyone that's listening, I hope that you've seen Lion King.
Oh.
Yes. And I went and saw Lion King and Donna wasn't there. I'm like sitting in the audience. I'm like, I'm at your show tonight. And she's like, I'm literally not there today. I'm like, what? I was so bummed. But it's an amazing show that everyone needs to see because it's just the visuals of it and the dancing, obviously, but then the prop work is just so exquisite. And that's another reason why I was like, we need to have Donna on because I am sure there have been some crazy prop malfunctions and things that happen on the Broadway stage in Lion King out of all shows that you can probably share some fun stories with us on this episode.
Yeah, fun and terrifying.
Right.
But yeah, we have to get you like back once I'm back because it's the 25th anniversary is in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So after all of that stuff calms down, I'll be like, have you back.
Absolutely. I loved the show. I can't wait to see it again. So I'm pumped to dive into this one. Thank you both for being here. Let's jump on in.
Oh, man. Where to start with costume and stage malfunctions? There's truly so much. Donna, like you said, like hilarious and also terrifying. So I think let's just start like very simple. Like I had this thought when we were sort of thinking about this episode, like, when you're a kid, like something that seems that is very small in reality can just be overblown in your head. It's like, oh my God, it was the worst thing that ever happened. So like to y'all, what's like a low stakes costume or stage malfunction that like, if this happens, no big deal.
I have a story. Yeah, Lesley, the idea of like, it feels like the end of the world, but it really was just...
like, it's fine. Nobody noticed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one that definitely people did notice, but was really like a very small detail. So I was younger. I was maybe like 9 or 10 years old at a competition dancing to Here Comes the Sun. And we had these cute little sun hats on with these little ribbons.
Cute.
And my mom growing up was the one to be like, pin it down, like make sure your hair is right. And these hats with the ribbons, she's like, should we attach those? And everyone's like, no, it's fine. They'll stay. We go to this one part, we like leaned over and my ribbon comes over in front of my face. And the whole rest of the dance is in front of my face. And I literally was like trying to like push it back, like trying to get it to flip back over the other side of the hat. Didn't happen. And again, like finished the dance, walked off the stage and was like in hysterically crying, like, this is terrible. I messed it up for everyone. You just think it's like your fault and it's the end of the world. But ended up go to awards. We get our award. They're giving out special awards. And I ended up getting a special award for continuing to dance with the thing in front of my face.
Aww.
And I can remember like, I had a nickname in high school that was Halle, pick the prop up Mastroberardino, because I often was like on it, just like wanting to fix anything that went wrong. And I think like that was almost like a formative moment in my dance career of like, that's really not as big of a deal as you think. And also like, just like, why didn't I try to just like take a second and grab it? Right. I mean, I did try, I guess, but like, it's really not that big of a deal. And to just try your best to continue on if it's not going to be something that is, making it harmful for you to dance. Like I could still see, but that's like the first big like malfunction moment that I think I experienced as a young dancer that like pops in my head.
And then your mom was like, we're pinning that next time.
Right.
Yes. Oh,
we're super
I'm sure
that,
immediately she was like sewing it to the hat.
Exactly. And like you remember that forever because it was like Lesley, you described like as young kids, like some things are just so traumatizing that you'll just never forget. And you're like, it's not that deep looking back. Like a bow was in my eyes. Cool. But like this little 10-year-old's like heartbroken about it. I get it.
Any of those moments for you, Donna, in your personal life or anything that you've seen?
And I would say like one in the show that mine were all like pretty big or like super terrifying, but the one that I guess was like not so bad was I'm actually the anthill in the show during Grasslands. So there's a moment where I'm on point. And so crazy enough, I have to like, I enter out of one wing, but I have to borrow back and exit out of another wing. And my point shoe came off of my heel. Ooh. And the only thing that like makes this number like super dramatic is because I don't have access to my hands. So when I was taught this part, they literally were like, if you fall, either the stage manager or a crew has to come and drag me off because I can't. Yeah, I don't have access to my hands. So thankfully, I didn't fall. I kept my shoe on. Hopefully I'm not jinxing myself. I've never fell. But when it's terrifying when your heel slips off, because I didn't have ribbon, I just do elastic. Mm-hmm. And I made sure to put like rubber on the toes so that I can like, feel. But if my shoe would have fallen off, that would have been pretty dramatic. But yeah,
but
other
you
than
made
that,
it.
I made it. And it happened like at center. So I only had like the rest of the way to
you were
go,
halfway there.
Yeah, I was like, whew. So I made it. And I came off stage and no one knew.
Right.
Like usually I'm like, did you guys? And I was like, I'm not even going to say anything. So I just like went on to the next thing.
So if the unthinkable happened and you did like fall over and somebody had to come get you, are they dressed as something to be able to be like less conspicuous?
No.
And they're all blacks, like pulling you off.
In one scene, they are.
Okay.
And then, but other than that, no. It's supposed to be in all black just to like come out and just like.
Wow.
I mean,
there's so many things happening, so maybe that you wouldn't. But
that's just like a good example of a contingency plan for something that like, all right, if this thing goes wrong, this is what happens. Like you got to have that plan of action.
Yeah. And to be like learning it and them telling you that like as your only option, I was like, this is
right.
Do I get a bump in my face for this?
Right.
I mean, you probably should. Isn't it like, what's it called? The
hazard pay.
Yeah, hazard pay.
It is, but it needs to bump up.
Yeah, and like,
but yeah,
I feel like the shoe scenario is definitely one that we've seen a ton at competition. A dancer's shoes halfway off, they're trying to make it work. I've seen dancers where their shoe might just like, I didn't even see it get to the halfway point. Right. It just somehow ended off their foot. And some people go on like nothing even happened. There's others where they're like trying to hang on to the shoe being half on. And I'm sitting there as a judge being like, just flick it off. Just rip that shoe off and just keep going. Cause like, it's like holding them back from being able to dance to their fullest. And there are some smart dancers who have done that option where they're like, you know what? Screw the shoe. Take this off and let me keep going. Like, because things happen. You can't like, if your shoe fell off, it fell off. Maybe your shoe came untied. Next time we double knot it. Or if you have your jazz shoes just too broken in and it's too loose and not staying snug to your foot, it fell off. We get some new ones next time. But in the moment, it's like, what do you do in that moment when you're like, oh, shoot, my shoe is literally falling off? Do I keep going? Do I act like it's not happening? Do I rip it off? Like, and that's the struggle that we all, until we're in that moment.
Right. You don't really know what you got to do.
Yeah. I feel like the judgment call right there. And I feel like it depends, right? Like you almost have to be like, I know I would always be like, be a smart dancer, right? Be a smart dancer and try and solve the problem. Right? Like it is, okay, what is like the best decision to make in these split seconds that's going to be like most helpful for me, most helpful for the audience? Like, and then it's those moments where if you make, any decision, it could be totally not noticed at all by anyone else around you.
Exactly.
And that's always kind of like funny and interesting.
I think that's where the smart dancer comes into play too, like that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember what we did like when we were in our comp years, but I remember like my Padini would slide, the heel, the
always
shoe.
Always the Padini. It's always the Padini.
Always the Padini. And now as a judge, it's whatever a half sole is. Yeah. It's like, why just
First
don't
of all,
wear
why?
it, just be barefoot or wear a shoe. Personally, that's my take on that thing. But the little elastic pops off the heel. And so then you're like, okay, you're barefoot really. So you just take it off. But I feel like if you are doing like a solo, duo, trio, small group thing, you should just, I don't know, take it off. I think in the professional world, like me being on Broadway, you think more about who's coming on next.
Yeah.
Or like,
Right.
who's coming behind me?
Right.
Or like,
how is this
like
going to
you start
affect
thinking
something
about,
else other than me?
Yeah, you think about other people.
Yeah.
Whereas
for sure.
I think when you're in the comp world, you're thinking about yourself.
Right.
And you're younger. Like that's what you do. Obviously, it's your foot, your shoe. But yeah, I think that's where the line crosses. Like
that's a really good perspective, because we, like, you know, Courtney's said, and we've talked about on the podcast before, that like the studio world and the professional world seem very different in terms of what the instruction is, in terms of leave it there or pick it up. And in the professional world, it's about everybody's livelihood. It's about the stagehand. It's about the rigger. It's about the lead. It's about the understudy. It's about everybody's safety and integrity of the art that's being created. Whereas at the competition, it almost feels, it's not selfish in a bad way, but it's like, it's selfish. You're thinking about yourself and my placement, and, you know, as opposed to like the greater good almost.
Yeah. And I mean, rightfully so, if you're like 7 or 8 or 9, like, you know what I mean? You're like, I just want to hit the step and get off. But older, like if they're older and able to, you know, comprehend what is happening, then I definitely think. But yeah, so true. And I didn't learn that obviously until I wasn't taught that when I was learning the show, but specifically on Broadway, they'll come to you and say, hey, there's a blase blah, there's a mouse, you know, stage right, blah, 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 wing, blah, blah. And you're like, what? And so you go and like look for it and you see if you can get it. And then if you can't get it, then it's the next, you know, like it's just like a constant rigmarole of like who can get whatever it is off the stage. So it like, then it becomes part of your show so that it doesn't become part of the show. You know what I mean? Like,
Just being aware of that. I mean, it's an important skill, and it goes back to that quote unquote smart dancer mentality and like approach to every time you go on a performance stage. Like, yes, in the competition world, I think that it does feel very like individualized. I'm going to think about me, and if this falls off, we leave it and we don't look at it again. We act like that we didn't just drop this hat. There are so many times, I'm going to the hat example. You have a hat in your costume. It's a hat that we use as a prop. It's not living on your head. It's not pinned in. It's one we're using as a prop. Next thing you know, oops, we did a hat trick and it fell. Oh, sad about it. Well, your hat fell. You don't leave it. I'm letting the dance world know. You do not leave the hat on the stage. Your goal is to either pick that hat back up as quickly or as seamlessly and discreetly as possible. Maybe you have a roll to the floor and you can grab that hat right next to you. Like my brain as the dancer in that moment would be, when can I get my hat again? Not, oops, my hat's gone. Here's my invisible hat for the rest of the dance. And at the very minimum, like if it's impossible to get, maybe another dancer takes the initiative and says, oh, she dropped her hat. I'm going to kick it off the stage and sorry about it, girl, your hat's gone. But at least it's not sitting staring at me on the stage. Because as the judge, the whole time I'm like, just pick it up. Come on, you're so rolling right
you
next
could have gotten
to it.
You could have gotten it.
Yes. Like, and like, I think that's where the teamwork aspect has to come into play, especially if it's like a group dance or something, because we're especially in the competition world, we're drilled for some reason. I don't know who created this rule, but it's drilled into your head to just like leave it there and keep going. And I want to change that rule. I want me as Courtney Ortiz and all of us, I think, on this podcast, we're telling the dance world, let's change that rule and let's be smart dancers and figure out how do we solve this problem. So a prop isn't in the way, because it does become a safety issue. You know, you as the dancer knows what comes next. What if there's a turn sequence there and that hat is right in the middle, or a glove right in the middle, and the dancer's going to step on it?
Might as well be a banana peel.
I've seen the earring come off.
Oh my God, that scares me so bad. Yes.
And that's like that one, it's like hard because one, you don't always know where it went.
Yep.
You know how it just like flies, and then you're like, uh-oh. And then you realize where it is when someone steps on it. I've seen that. And then I'm like, because then you just can't dance anymore. And then you like hobble off stage.
Yep.
You know, but I have also seen the ribbons, if they have the prop as a ribbon or whatever. And I've seen one group where she picked it up. She kicked it to her friend. Like they were in 2 lines and she kicked it and her friend picked it up. And I was screaming as a judge. I was like, I don't even know if I said anything about like point your feet, like your knees. I just started talking about that whole thing. Like, holy moly, like these young kids are thinking about their friends, teamwork. Like she knew, like then I started thanking the owner or the like the teacher, you know, so definitely praising them for that. But yeah, the earring is super scary because you can start bleeding on stage and have to go off.
Safety, like so important.
And that's the clip on. I was so intrigued to like what happened, you know, because I'm like, if you have a back in the earring. And so I remember asking one of the MCs to like, can you just find out like how in the world did the earring? And it was a clip-on earring.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny. All the talks about hats. I had to do at least 6 dances over like 3 years with a hat like in my hand off my head. And it's interesting because I'm trying to remember. I really think my teachers, I'll shout out Lauren Hubella and Daniela Cavalieri, would be like, pick it up. Like I can remember them like enforcing in us the idea of like, don't let it sit there. And I will forever be grateful for that because it is so true. Anything. It could literally be anything. The moment it hits the floor and it's not supposed to, and you start to like dance away, it's the only thing I'm looking at. It's the only thing I'm looking at. And in that case, like continue your choreography. But again, just to be mindful of like, when is the next moment that I will be able to swoop that off the floor and either get rid of it or get it to whoever it like whoever needs to have it. Yeah, I think that is such a, I would love to see that mental shift, not of leave it there, don't touch it and forget it's there, but instead, how can I help either if it's a solo myself or if it's duo my partner, like to think about how it's affecting every single person on stage as opposed to forget about it and leave it there.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to touch on something that's adjacent, but I think really important since we've got you guys here that have experienced life in the theater, which is a little different than life in the dance studio, but with so many studios these days competing with giant big production numbers with sets and props and all kinds of things, there are prop rules in the theater about where they live and how they're treated and who touches them. Donna, would you tell us a little bit about that and like what those rules are and why maybe we should implement them at the studio too? Because I don't know that most studios do this and treat their props the way professionals do.
Yeah, some of the props we can't touch at all until they are like hand delivered to us. Like, here you go. Like if you're in the wing, they bring it.
And that's like a union rule.
I know particularly our show, like a lot of things are really heavy. And so like, you don't want to just be like carrying it all the way from where it is all the way to the stage, because by that time you're like exhausted. But also it's a specific way to handle a lot of the puppets. And so some of them, you have to go to your spot and it's brought to you, or they bring it to you and you pick it out of like a hole in the floor or, you know.
And can you
like
touch
sometimes we wear belts.
Johnny's prop?
No, we're not supposed to touch Johnny's prop.
Other people's props, right? Your prop is your prop and you get to touch your prop. Nobody else's prop,
unless,
right?
Unless you're a swing, obviously, and you're swinging in for someone. Like they just started, because of COVID, implementing like everybody has their own blah, blah, blah now, opposed to like this thing was shared between 4 or 5 swings. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're not supposed to, because then what happens is like you come back to it, which has happened to me a couple times. And I'm like, and I go out there and I'm like, why does this feel so different? Like, this is not mine. And then they're like, oh, so-and-so used it. And it's like, no, like, you know, so certain things like that, because maybe my belt is tighter, maybe hers is looser, maybe his is. So yeah, it's really important to, you know, have your own stuff and make sure you know who's giving it to you as well. Yeah, it's very like strategic and like intentional.
And like, obviously in comp world, we don't really have stagehands helping us backstage.
But you probably have a mom volunteer in that big number where there's a big costume change and everybody's got to help each other. And I think what I've noticed a lot of times is that like, you know, everybody has a prop and some of them look a little tired and ragged. And my thing is, who's been mishandling that prop? Because backstage, Susie's sister was like, this is a fun cane to play with. And nobody has said, this is not your prop. Your prop is over there. You handle your prop. Or, you know, again, like you said, Donna, who is giving that prop to you in this number? Like that has to be choreographed and not sort of messed with. Because again, that's when your prop malfunctions. That's when, you know, the cane falls apart because it's been bent and broken and nobody paid attention to it, you know?
A new dance season is here, and that means competition is coming up quick. And we have a great way to help you prep your performance before hitting the stage with IDA's online judges critiques. One of our professional pre-screen judges will provide you with a video critique similar to what you receive at competition. But we also take our critiques one step further with our best-selling feature, post-critique additional feedback. Your IDA judge will go back through your dance and pause the video to elaborate even more on specific corrections and personalized requests. And exciting news for choreographers, our popular choreography console critiques are back in action this season. Your specialty judge will focus on choreography-specific feedback, covering everything from concept and costumes to transitions, style, and musicality. Enhance your creative vision and elevate your voice as a choreographer with guidance from a pro on technique, song choice, difficulty level, and so much more. Starting at just $35, IDA's online judges critiques are a great tool to utilize at any point in the dance season. And we are one of the only online critique services in the industry that offers genre-specific judges and rush 24-hour delivery turnaround times. Are you ready to take your dance to the next level? Click the link in our show notes or visit our website at impactdanceadjudicators.com/online critiques to submit your dance today.
Yeah, I feel like and I could be like completely wrong because, as a judge, we're sitting out front, but the ones that come out and all the props look the same. I'm always like amazed. And I always wonder, is the owner, like, does she travel with all of them and give them out?
Yep.
Or is it like one dance mom who's like, I'm in charge of this? Because I do think that, when everyone's in charge of their own thing, that's when it starts to get a little like,
that's true.
This one looks like this and this one looks like that. And rightfully so, right? We're traveling. Everyone travels different. Somebody may put theirs in a suitcase. Somebody may have theirs in a box. You know what I mean? Like everyone is very particular with different with how they manage stuff. So I agree. It's how you manage it and like whose job is it to like spruce them up by nationals or, you know what I mean? So they don't look ragged. So yeah, I've always wondered when I see like a group of like 30 people, like those big productions where it's like they're doing like Aladdin or you see The Lion King a lot or like whatever it is. It's like, how are there 50 dancers on stage, one? And two, their costumes and their masks are so sharp and like new. So I agree with you. Yeah.
I feel too like I have such a clear image. So my mom used to own a studio and like a few years ago, when those numbers come, sometimes you'll see the kids walk with like a laundry basket that's like labeled with their name and all their stuff is in that laundry basket if they like change shoes. And I would always be very interested to observe as the number was going on, either how like almost like soldier like they were like, and now I go to my basket and I change my shoes and I go to where I have to be.
Love that.
And on the other hand of that, the chaos that would ensue for some numbers. And I can remember, like, you feel that energy around you and being like, how are these kids even able to go on stage and do what they have to do? And just thinking like, it made me think as a teacher and as like someone who cleans numbers, how to best prepare my kids for those dances that can be a little bit more, the energy is already high and there's a lot to juggle. I feel like it is a responsibility of either the studio owner, like Donna was saying, or whichever teacher or instructor, choreographer is in charge of that number to be able to like set those rules of, this is your stuff. You go to your thing, you do what you have to do, and you get set where you have to go so that there is no, room for error or like margin for someone to get hurt or injured or anything like that. But I definitely feel like I've seen both sides of the coin in those larger numbers where there's a lot to juggle and a lot going on.
Yeah, because when you're on Broadway, you have dressers, right? And so like you come off, you're there and it's like, whoop, 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 and then you go back out like for the quick changes. But like when you're in the comp world, I do feel like there should be, I don't know, a ratio between like, if there's this many dancers, could we have like, if it's not the moms, right? It's like a big girl or like 2 point people, because that's when the malfunctions start to happen when they're doing these productions. And it's like, first of all, can we have the next number like not be back there? Like let's start there. And then can we have like, if it's I don't know, what is it? Usually like 2 or 3 wings back there, depending on if it's like a comp or like a convention, and then have those point people. So the dancers know, like, when I run off stage and I have like 30 seconds, I'm going to like, you know, this lady, or I'm going to my partner, because that's when it gets messy. And then they're coming out and they're like, one person doesn't have a glove, and then they're dragging something, you know. So I think like, you're like, oh God. And then you can like look off stage and see the like you said, like almost like the chaos, which I think there will always be chaos, like sometimes even on Broadway, but it's organized chaos, right?
Yes, right.
And so I think
it happens the same every time, you know, and that's key too, is that like Sally always goes to Susan, and that is what happens. And Susan is always in the swing, no matter where you are, and like it's expected because if you change any one thing, it's over.
It could go awry. Yeah.
There's like choreography for the backstage as well, like on the back end in any type of show that you do. And like, obviously competition isn't a show. It's a one and done performance for a few minutes. But there, if the choreography requires that much uses of props or costume changes and things, there needs to be something going on in the back end that's a little bit more organized, so it's not chaotic. But with that, I want to also mention, since we're on the prop thing for a minute, is safety of props as far as how they're constructed, especially if they're like set pieces. We actually did a prop episode in last season, which is I highly recommend everyone go listen to, because we really kind of went even more in depth with this. But I think it's a responsibility of whoever is designing the prop. If a choreographer says, "Hey, dance dad, I want you to build me this giant boat, and it's going to move all around the stage, and the dancers are going to push it everywhere." First, it needs to be safe. Like, number one priority is, cool, you have the boat on stage. Looks great. Painted it great. Construction's awesome. Does it have safety brakes on it? Probably not. And it needs to. Because if not, then that boat could fall over and injure a kid very quickly. Or if it's not stable on stage and safe for dancers to be climbing on top of it, doing acrobatic tricks and jumping off of it like all of you envision in your head, then we can't have this. There are so many times that I see choreographers giving dancers requests to be standing on top of a high platform that is super unstable. And it makes me as a judge cringe and be so nervous. And that's a malfunction waiting to happen. Like and I think at the end of the day, when it comes to every stage malfunction, like as much as there's like fun, silly ones that we can just like laugh about and, oh my gosh, that happened. Oh my gosh. I think safety is the number one priority when it comes to being on stage. And if some type of malfunction happens, that should be what you think about is, am I still safe? Are my dancers safe? And how can we make them safer on stage? And, dangerous props and unstable props, that's not it, y'all. Right. We need to make sure that they're really safe.
Some of those big ones, you can't store it or travel it intact. You have to
build it.
Unbuild it, yeah. Take it apart and then put it back together. And so, like, what does that look like after 7 competitions? Are the nails or the screws stripped by this point? Like, are the holes even holding your screws in between the wood? Like, I'm not a carpenter, but like, that's a real thing that happens if you have to undo stuff constantly.
Totally.
But yeah, I would love to continue on with props a little bit, Court, but we don't have a ton of time and I want to talk about costumes. Do you want to just jump to costume malfunctions?
Yeah, I think we should jump into the costume malfunction because, and we can also, canes and hats and things are part of your costume and are sort of proppy. But for all of our listeners out there, if you want to hear about the prop talk, we have an episode for that. Go listen to the prop talk so we can continue on with the actual malfunctions that happen on the stage. And I just want to briefly, I say this, I've said it on the podcast before, I'm just going to bring up our fun story, Lesley, because I think that it's important to hear, and it's essentially a costume / prop malfunction that happens on stage. And it's important to hear, I think, from my perspective of, I was 18 years old, competition kid who learned the leave it and keep going method
rule
to now my first professional job on Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines with Lesley. And the show involved a part of the show had a crazy prop number that we had a little fanny pack behind our back. And we had to change props behind our back and pull out handkerchiefs and switch our gloves and make
it look
like
a magic trick while we're dancing, like while we're also like executing choreography and of every single one of us, all 14 of us.
So like we learned this in rehearsals, and I don't even remember in rehearsals if they've really ever told us like pick it up if you drop it. So like, we're just trying to get the magic tricks to happen.
The expectation was you would not drop it. I don't think they talked about it because they drilled into us, you will not drop this. The illusion must happen.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like, you're not allowed to drop it. So like,
it's
then
just a
you get on
glove.
stage and you're like, shoot, what do I do? I dropped it, right?
Right.
And I in my head, I'm a competition dancer who's been told, keep going. So I just keep going. And my dance captain, his goal in life was to pick up anything that was on the stage.
Like a feather. We love him.
Obsessive.
He's crazy.
I loved, you know. But it was like eye-opening for me because I didn't understand. I was like, why is he so obsessed with trying to pick this up? Like, we're just going to keep going. And he's like, no, it's dangerous for the rest of the show.
Remember that stage. Like, I don't know. And obviously Broadway stages for many shows are like this too. But we had risers. We had I don't even know what you call it. It wasn't electrified, but it was like a moving stage. So you had stuff moving on tracks.
Like a turntable and things. And yeah.
And if that glove stayed there and something got caught, like it got caught while something was moving, the whole show would end. Right. We'd have to stop it because there'd be no way to finish it. So like, I think that was one of the main things that I realized on that job too, because that was my first professional job, that like something as small as dropping a glove and leaving it, it seems small. You can't see it. It's black, it's in the corner. But if that got caught in a mechanism, the whole show stops. And that is not good for anybody, Yeah. That number was, I think that only happened like twice though, that I remember that somebody dropped a glove and somebody ended up picking it up and it was fine.
Yeah. But I just like to share it because it was just definitely like that transitional period of like comp kid to now pro, and I don't know the rules of pro. So I want to like, I think that we should be applying those professional rules in the comp world so that transition's not as jarring for someone like me who was like, what are you talking about?
And luckily you had a dance captain who was like kind and willing to explain it to you and not be rude or, blame you or anything. He was just like, no, listen, this is why this is important. And, now you know. So yeah, thanks, Troy.
Thanks, Troy. So costume malfunction, something that immediately comes to my mind is maybe an unexpected reveal. Maybe a strap breaks. Maybe we don't have the proper undergarments underneath. And maybe we're only a quarter of a way through our dance, right?
Yeah.
What do we do? Let's say if you're a female dancer and straps have fallen and we're about to expose the world. What do we do? Any advice? I know what I would do.
Okay, if you have on the correct undergarments, I would say keep going because nowadays we all have on like the, nude bras or whatever. But if you're going to be exposed, I feel like you need to exit the stage personally. That's what we would do. Like, because, this is a kid's show. We're not out here doing, something adult wise. But if you're going to be exposed in a way that like it's uncomfortable and like people aren't supposed to see, then you should keep going. But if you're wearing like how a lot of the kids have like the sports bras and it's just the strap, if you can still turn, jump, whatever, then totally stay on. I've seen that happen. I would say in the professional world, like particularly in the Lion King for me, I've had my corset unzip. And so that thing is like super tight. And so when it unzips, it's connected to my head. So it's connected to my lioness head, which my head is connected to a silk, which goes like in between my legs and it attaches here. And so like, there's no way. And it's like, it happened to me in the fight scene, the very last scene, Court knows. And you're like, like you're doing all this crazy stuff. You're being like tossed and like penchés and it's crazy. And it zipped. And immediately I was like, oh my God, what do I do? So I'm trying to like chaîner, like holding my corset, turn and turn and turn and turn. And then I'm like, you know what? It's super dangerous for who's behind me. And so I had to like, I couldn't even dance off. I had to exit, just run off. So yeah, in that note, if it starts to get like dangerous, but if it's just like an exposed like strap, I say like keep going if nothing is showing, and everything's still intact.
Yeah, I have a crazy story. It is not a story that happened to me, but that I observed of an older dancer at the studio that I went to when I was younger. She had on like a halter top. She was dancing to Ave Maria. And she was like, it was a beautiful dance. And all of a sudden it popped off and she caught it and proceeded to finish the dance while like full turn sequence while holding the top. And I was like shocked at that. Like I can remember like little Halle being like, wow, like she kept going. And I think like there is, and I think she was maybe more than halfway through. So
it's like almost there, like power through. I caught it.
Yep. Right. She was like, I am in control of this. Right. Nothing's going to happen. I'm okay. And finished the dance. And I feel like in that situation, she was able to like make her own judgment call. And I can even remember like afterwards, she was very much like, I was fine. Like, I'm fine. And so I think it's like, again, we were talking about like making that judgment call in the moment. If you're like a quarter way through your dance and you're going to expose yourself in a way that is like not good and not safe, as a judge, I would be like, please exit the stage and let someone fix your costume and come back and then be able to like do what you came here to do. And I think too, there's always like, I mean, if someone just runs off the stage because they forgot the dance or something like that, there is a stigma with that of like, that was bad and you've done a bad job. Like I can remember being told that when I was younger. And I think that there's like, you know, it could be a little more gracious, especially when it's like a young dancer. To be like, hey, you like that was an unsafe situation, right? We've been talking a lot about safety. Like you should feel safe and good to go. We're going to fix this and you're going to go and you're going to get to like do what we came here to do. So I definitely think it does come down to that judgment call. And like if you feel secure and you're okay, and like Donna was saying, if it is just a strap, but you know, your costume is, you know, pretty sturdy and it's staying up and the strap is just there, I think that's okay. But yeah, definitely like taking a quick moment in your head to like assess what will be best for you. And if you're there with a group of people, what will be best for the group of people.
Yeah, I think it's something too that just needs to be discussed in studios. I think that's mostly like the whole point is like, it's not like, I don't even remember if we knew what to do. It was so long ago, but I think it just needs to be the conversation so that when it does happen, it's not the panic, because that's your natural reaction is to like freak out. You know what I mean? And then instead of knowing exactly what to do, you're like doing the dance, but like not, but like worrying about this. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. Like it's just too many things going through your head. So if the conversation is introduced early, especially for the young ones are just like barely out there, right? For the older dancers, they should definitely know what to do. But I think it's just like introducing the conversation.
Yeah. And I think one thing that is probably important to touch on too is that, you know, how many times have we heard in our lives, you don't wear underwear with tights? That is true. That is sort of what the gold standard is for dance in general. Your tights are your underwear. But when your dancers aren't wearing tights anymore, which is 90% of the people we see on a stage, then what's the answer? Well, my answer is you need to be wearing something, because half the times these costumes aren't lined. Half the time these costumes are thin material. You're under, stage lights. And if you have literally nothing else on, not only are you, just having the risk of being exposed in a certain position, but like, again, a lot of dancers are little tiny stick thin people. And sometimes the costumes don't fit properly in that they are too big. You know what I mean? And so that's also a costume malfunction when they're gapping, when they're not fit properly. And then you don't have anything on underneath it. Like that could really be a big problem. And like, we have seen that be a big problem, not only on the bottoms, but on the top as well. And like, I'm a dancer who does not do anything without a bra. I like the job that Courtney and I had together, we had one costume, which was a 2-piece. I mean, a lot of our costumes were 2-piece, but one of them was like a bra and pants. And I remember them trying their very best to fit me properly in that bra. And I was like, this is so uncomfortable. There's nothing underneath it. You have to let me wear something underneath this, because I cannot risk being exposed with nothing else besides this flimsy piece of material that y'all didn't like. It was probably 7 years old at that point. Like it wasn't even a nice costume.
Older, definitely older.
Sorry, Royal Caribbean. I really hope you're not wearing that same bra.
Still use them.
I believe it. But yeah, it's like, I think everybody on the one hand, like, yeah, there's a history of being like, you don't need a bra in dance and you don't need underwear in dance. Well, this is true if you are wearing a fully, if you are a person who doesn't really need a bra generally or doesn't feel like you do, fine. But are you wearing a leotard that fits you properly? There's contingencies.
And that being said, I want to touch briefly on the sticky bra. Because, yes, sometimes you need to have something on underneath, but the sticky bra is not the answer, okay?
What is a sticky bra?
You've seen those, kind of like the silicone, it's like strapless, and it just like secures to you. It like
to your like
cups to
ribs. You. It's only for backless. People who have no boobs. Let's just be real. I could not ever wear a sticky bra. It would just
it literally sticks to you. So like it's stuck.
Okay.
It seems like it's going to do its
for prom.
job for
You know
like
what I mean? Like if you're just standing there.
non-sweaty
Yeah.
things. Yeah, like the moment you start sweating, that stickiness is
Moving
leaving
over.
your body, and it is
Above
that
a B
sticky
cup,
bras
over.
dropping. And I've seen the sticky bras fall off on stage and sit in the middle of a stage, and you're just like, "What is that?" And and me as a judge, I can't even watch the rest of the dance because I'm like, "What just fell off of that dancer?" And there's like 2 like tan blobs on the stage, and it's just the weirdest thing. I can't. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
And then your poor girl is on stage with nothing besides the costume, which she clearly felt she needed something underneath.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So then you're left with this flimsy piece of material that may or may not be concealing or supporting anybody.
Right.
And my thing is, listen, this is something we need to take up with a costume company. First of all, like it starts at the top, and that is with Weissman's or whoever, because people are not designing costumes for bodies that actually dance. They're designing costumes for people who stand there and pose in a costume. So that's number 1. But number 2 is like, if you're the studio owner or whoever's choosing the costumes, you have to look at every single body that is wearing that costume. You have to look at every single angle in which we are tilting in that costume, and every single turn sequence we do that the sticky bra could fly off, because it all matters.
Yeah, and I feel like now, like, these people have everything at their fingertips. Like, the, skin tone stuff was not out when I was like younger, or if it was only in like one tone.
Exactly.
Right? And so now you have like all types of skin tone colors, and it comes in everything: the bra, the panty, the leotard, the this, the that. I mean, there's like so many things. And I talk about that a lot when I'm judging, particularly because people love the tilt, and they love to tilt with the crotch facing the judge or the front. And so I'm like, had we have like, the nude panties or a leotard under, I wouldn't be looking at what I shouldn't be looking at. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or just like change the angle of the tilt. So I do feel like you're right. I'm just learning about a sticky bra. I've heard of like the pasty thing, but
and pasties are good choice too. I think it's smart to have one underneath because you never know. At least your nipples aren't exposed at that point. Like
exactly. And I do feel like now with every leotard or whatever they're wearing, if it's not lined, like Lesley said, the skin tone look is great because that means like no matter what happens, like everyone's covered.
You're covered. Yeah. Final things as we wrap up, because I know we're at the time. But do we have any like tips and recommendations on like how to achieve more success on stage? Like we kind of have talked about those moments, like what do we do in these scenarios when this happens on stage? What do we do? And we talked about if the hat falls off. We talked about if the costume is revealing, that we should absolutely leave the stage if you are in an unsafe situation, or if you are about to expose. And I think that another thing that's important to remember for all of the parents and teachers out there is that majority of the competitions now are live streamed, and anyone can access that link. And that means that you are exposing your 12-year-old, 13-year-old child who, does not want to be shared with the world, and they might be exposing themselves to strangers. So we have to remember that, that there's safety, protection and safety. It's all about safety.
This isn't just about, oh gosh, we're staring at your hat on the stage. Like there's so much more to it.
Right.
With malfunctions that can happen, especially now, like you said, with the live streaming. I mean, I think a lot of competitions have started doing like a link
codes and
or
stuff.
A code or something, which is great. And I would love to see more of that. But like, not everybody's done that yet. And, you just don't know who's going to be watching anywhere, in person or otherwise. So
absolutely. Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about like tips. What to do. Tips. Practice?
Right off the bat, like I'm thinking of just like tips on how can you prevent your gloves from falling off? Double-sided tape, I would recommend immediately. Like you should have that in your dance like makeup bag. Double-sided tape that thing where it hits your arm, boom, and it's secure, and you rip that off when you're done, like, and hope that it doesn't fall off. Things like that. Always making sure that like you might get caught on your fishnets, and it's gonna happen. It's bound to happen if you're wearing fishnets. I mean, it's the worst. But like having some needle and thread ready to zip up that hole so we can prevent it from next time, and like at rehearsal, put those fishnets on with whatever got caught next rehearsal so you can figure out what this feels like and not have it be your first time happening on stage. Things like that. And another thing about the gloves that's helpful is I see this question a lot on forums, and it absolutely scares me and kills me, is when people are asking, how can my dancers wear gloves and do acro? It's really slippery.
Oh, no.
They can't.
And then I usually
answer is
say,
don't.
Stop, please.
again, safety. I'm like, that is absolutely dangerous. Do not even think about it. I can't believe that you as an educator think that this is acceptable. So like, no, don't do it. Take the gloves off. Are the gloves that worth it? Are they enhancing the costume so much that you need a glove on to do your back handspring? Probably not. So you either take out the back handspring or you take off the glove. But if you have to wear the glove, then we should change it to maybe one of those little like middle finger glove things where it just like goes over the middle finger so the palm of the hand is still out and able to feel the floor properly with the right resistance that it needs. Or
the grip stuff.
Yeah, or there's like little grips that you can put on the hands that are like, a lot of people get like glue gun and do little glue gun dots or like.
But also that the grip is different for each floor.
Right.
So, exactly, Marley.
It's not a universal grip.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, that's like.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Do y'all have any tips or tricks that are up your sleeves that might be helpful?
I know that they sell it's literally like roll-on glue.
Oh.
That like for the glove
like kind of like the butt
thing.
glue probably.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. Like you could use it for the glove and for like the securing. I know that the kids would always be like, it's so hard to get off, but like ultimately, I think you would rather be secure than and have to deal with, just scrubbing it off with a little extra soap when you're done. Right. But that always was just something that like worked super well and I've seen be pretty successful just in terms of, keeping things where they're supposed to be stuck and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess for like the comp studio world, I would just say like triple check because it's usually something really simple like it needs more pins or
safety pins,
something like
pins,
that.
all of
safety pins or like the moms are always around to like sew you in something if something it's like you're getting in it and then we'll just get you out and fix it for the next go around. Yeah, or just and I know this might be weird to say, but like on Broadway we just like always expect the unexpected because something can happen and like even if it's not yours it could be someone else's. And so always like, just like Court said, like I remember at our studio, we always did a run through before we started comps and we did it with costumes. Right. And so like, I don't hear a lot of that happening. I hear a lot of like, and I know like after COVID, like people didn't have costumes and they got them at like the last minute. So like I totally like giving grace for that year. Right. But like now it's like, order your costumes, get them in. If they're not coming, get something else. Amazon, who cares? Stone it, make it look like everyone else's, and then like run through it, right? Because it's just like that little run through that like can honestly make a huge difference. And then just, I think, implementing the conversation because it's a conversation that's not being held. And that's why when it goes wrong, it's like, oh my God, and to have the conversation that like, if it's not yours too, like that's a really important thing. Honestly, I didn't know until I got here when people would ask me like, can the stage manager, can you get that off the stage? Do you think you're able to get that? And then like, before I even get out there, I'm already in the, like on this count of 8, I'm going to swoop and turn, you know what I mean? Like it has to be like already in your brain. And so it's not the panic. And I think that would really help when we judge and see the dancers out there being smart and safe.
I would like to just second that too, to like implore like studio owners and teachers to like actually take 15 minutes out of a rehearsal and like sit your kids down. I feel like a lot of the times too, like when I was younger, I went to rehearsal and we rehearsed and like knew what was expected, but we were never like communicated with. And then we'd get yelled at for certain things that I was like, I didn't even know I was supposed to do that. Right. So now now when I teach, especially those little ones, like to sit them down and explain like what they might feel like at their first competition. And if things go wrong, what should we do? And like, that is so beneficial. And sometimes I think it can be seen as like, we're wasting time. We have to, we're supposed to be getting ready for competition, but that is just as much getting ready for competition as running the dance in the costume and all of that is.
Totally.
And I think the tricky one too, Court, is like you think about the glove, but like the tap shoe, because it's like the only shoe that like really matters.
Right.
Like,
you really
like,
need the tap shoe.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
A character shoe. Like you can do the whole. Not to say that you can't do the step without like a tap shoe, but you like it's obviously for the sound, and so like that is a tricky one because I've seen like the basic shoe. Like now they have all these like fancy tap shoes like that tie up, but the ones that just buckle or Velcro. They flop off. Yeah, Mary Jane. They flop off real easy for the little ones, and then they're just like limping around. Just lopsided.
There's a shoe.
It's like so that one is like I always feel so bad because I'm like you either have to take the time to like put the shoe back on
Right.
or take the other shoe off and keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to quickly decide which one it is. But the tap shoe is tricky.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's a
that
good
one-
point.
That is a difficult one. And I'm usually on the side of like, if you can just keep going with one shoe on, just keep going. Because like, again,
Yeah.
with a tap shoe like that, like, or there's no way to just put it back on like a jazz shoe real quick. It's
Put it
like
back on
you gotta
quick.
sit down,
Yep.
you gotta do the whole thing. So like,
Mm-hmm.
I think I've actually judged a couple of solos where, you know, she just danced so hard and that one shoe came off, but like she's so
Mhm.
good that if you watched, you were like, oh, her bare foot is actually
She's
articulating
making the sound.
just as
Right.
good. And
Mhm.
like, I can see that she's doing
Yep.
it, you know? So whoever that was probably got that special award that she
Right.
was like, my shoe came off. What do you mean I'm getting a special? Like, that's why you got a special, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can tell, like as judges, we can tell if that conversation was had, or
Right.
again, we go back to the quote unquote smart dancer. Like I actually always will say like, wow, what a smart dancer for just powering through that. Like what a smart dancer who could feel my top about to fall or break and
Right.
caught it and then powered
Mhm.
through and danced it and modified as needed.
Yep.
And went till the very end. Like I will always thank the dancer if they made a smart choice on stage in those moments, because that's being a professional. And that's what we can't predict that something like that's going to happen.
Right.
But again, like you said, you have to expect the unexpected. It might happen. You never know. So like, of course we don't want it to. It might, but how do you react in that moment, I think is the most important thing. And I think that from this conversation, keeping you safe as a dancer, keeping you and your teammates safe, and presented on stage in the best possible way is the best choice at the end of the day. Well, y'all, this was great. So much information that we shared, and hopefully all of the studios out there, I hope you learned something new. I bet you did. I bet that you're going to have a nice, big, huge group conversation before your first competition and press play on some of the clips from this episode. Did you hear what they said? Make sure that you pick up that hat and pick up the glove and keep everyone nice and safe out there for 2023 season. So thank you so much to Donna and Halle for joining us on this discussion. It was so fun, and you gave such great advice to all of our dance world. So thank you for sharing that and your experiences as pros. How we have our guests lead us out is just with one final thought that you'd like to share in regards to this topic, our stage and costume malfunctions. Anything you'd like to say to the dancers, the studio owners, the teachers, whoever you'd like. Ready, set, go.
I'll share that ultimately, I love to remind my own students, and I hope I can remind you, that hopefully you go to dance competitions and you just have a blast. And the best way to be able to have a blast is to make sure that you're prepared as much as you can be leading up to when you step on stage. So just try your best, like we said, have backups, have all of the pins and all of the glue and all of the things that you need so that you can ultimately just go out there and have fun, because that's why I dance, and I hope that's why you guys dance too.
I would say have a comp like checklist. Even like don't think that just because we're professionals on Broadway that we don't have a checklist of like we have our shoes and stuff is like laid out. So do that, especially for those like really quick changes, or when your studio or your dancers are like in like 20 numbers and they're like back to back. It's really smart to have it all laid out. And then just like don't panic. Easier said than done, I know, but if it happens, just take a deep breath. And it's something that I still, at 38 years old, I'm doing it. So I know it can be done, but just don't panic, take a deep breath, keep that smile, keep on dancing, and just make sure everyone is safe and having a good time. But yeah, just triple check.
We hope you enjoyed our latest throwback episode all about stage and costume malfunctions. Special shout out to our IDA judges and special guests on this chat, Donna and Halle, for joining us. Don't forget to follow them on Instagram. You can find Halle at Halle Mastroberardino and Donna at slimgram_D.
Don't forget to follow Making the Impact on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and pretty much everywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you want more exclusive episodes, support our podcast by joining our Platinum Premium membership for only $5 a month. Join now at impactdanceadjudicators.com/platinum premium or click the link in our show notes. Season 7 of Making the Impact is on a roll. Coming up in the next few weeks, look forward to an episode all about partnering and lifts and another spotlight.